Alright, today I'm going to show you a vintage shortwave radio. This is a Zenith Trans-Oceanic 1947, I'm told. It's first edition. It's pretty much all original. The handle's been replaced. This handle's the same size and general shape of the original handle, which was Bakelite and probably broke off a long time ago. I got this radio when I lived in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Somebody owed me $15 and they gave me this radio, and I said, yeah, I'll take that. And I recently cleaned it all up. At this point, I'd like to show you a few photographs of the radio out of its case while I was cleaning it up. It's always interesting to me to see how things were done long ago, how different they are than the way things are done today. Nearly all the parts on these are made out of metals, different types of metal. Just imagine how much time it took to cut and stamp and forge and bend and weld than it does today, with nearly everything's made out of plastics and polymers. At the time, the state-of-the-art technology was all about vacuum tubes and electrolytic capacitors. It's so very different than what's used today. Yeah, look at this serial number plate. It's etched on a plate of aluminum and riveted to the body of the radio. And then the model number is just applied with a rubber stamp. I was really surprised when I flipped it over and looked at the bottom. All of these diodes and things just sort of welded and soldered into this tangled mass. I just didn't expect it to be so chaotic. You would think they would have this neatly organized, but it just looks like a mess. This is the case with the radio out. The case was all made out of wood. Some of the joints were a little loose, so I used some glue and kind of tightened it all up. But again, all made out of wood. Somebody constructed all that out of wood. Up on the underside of the shelf was this label. All of those numbers are patent numbers. I guess just a huge amount of patent numbers. And then on the lower part of the label is this schematic showing all of the tubes, so you would know which tubes went where. This is the front of the case with the radio removed. You can see that the clear plastic has yellowed slightly. Again, not surprising considering it's 70 years old. And this is the radio after I've put it all back together. I used a toothbrush and Q-tips and glass cleaner and alcohol, and I removed each tube and cleaned and dusted every surface I could find. And it was pretty dirty. I actually had cleaned it up, I don't know, 10 years ago or something. I'd cleaned it up a little bit, but this time I really went over it. I've seen this paper label on other photos of other radios like this, and I think that's just kind of charming. It's a little thing you can write your name on it. And this is very interesting. It's the dealer label, Riedling Music. Alexander Riedling was an Austrian immigrant, and he started working at the store in 1916. It was a Baldwin piano company in Albuquerque, and then he became the manager by 1920, and then it became the Riedling Music Company. And 1928 he started selling radios. I also like these little instructions that are stamped into the case. Just so you know, important, wave magnet must be snapped on the cover or for normal operation. Lift here to remove antenna. Open this door for instructions. Okay, now back to the video. I'm just going to show you how it works. It's beautiful Art Deco design. This is all brass. It's got buttons to adjust the different bands. It's got buttons to control the tone of the sound from the speaker. It's got an on-off and volume switch. And if you notice right there, it's black when it's off, and when you turn it on, it switches to red. It flips a red tab up, which is kind of cool. And the dial, this adjusts the station search for the dial. It also has the original in this storage compartment. It has the original information on how to run it, how it all works. It also has a place where you can fill in the station locations when you're searching around, city, time, band, megacycles. So it's a record there. It has a list of different frequencies, broadcast frequencies for the United States, and Hawaii and Puerto Rico and Alaska as well. And it also has instructions on general use, how it all works, warranty. So that's all in very good condition. Now, if we flip around to the back and look at the guts of this, you can see it's made with tubes, as was done at the time. Also has a battery pack, which of course this is long expired electricity in the battery, but it's really interesting that it still has the original battery pack in it. This unit came with several different antenna options. It has a antenna here that they use for shortwave, and watch when I press this button, something pops up. And this is a very tall antenna. It's probably 6 feet or something. And that's for one set of bandwidths. And then here, this is really interesting. It's called a wave magnet, and it's attached here by snaps. And then there's a clip over here that holds it in. And see, it has little snaps that attach it. And this is attached to a cord, a cloth, old style cloth cord. And the cord plugs in into the unit right here. It's got 3 prongs. Plugs in right there. And then there's a little switch that the plug pushes in that disconnects another antenna. And this has a couple of different settings on it. 25, 19, 31 meters. Not sure exactly what that means. And it also has a rotating adjustment here. It's called a wave booster. This has snaps here on these hinges are meant to attach to these suction cups. They snap on there, and then you can put that, you can stick it on a window and to try and get better reception. Now these suction cups they're very old, so they're pretty dry. I don't think they might work, but I think it's best to leave those alone. It also comes with a different antenna. Put this one, I'll just leave this one out. This strap is for an antenna that's located here on the front. This unit right here is an antenna, wave magnet, and this strap has snaps that attach here, and then this strap attaches here, and there's wires that run up through into this cover. The suction cups can also be snapped onto here, and this can also be stuck on a window and positioned to try and get better reception. And then this replaces right here. It snaps back into place for storage. There. Okay. Back around to the back. I'm going to show you how this battery works, because this battery is pretty cool. There's a plug that plugs into the battery, and the battery's got these 2 cloth pullouts to make removing the battery easier. And this thing is really heavy. RCA battery pack. And if we open this up, there's a set of these square plates I imagine the size of this, it probably held a charge for a long, long time. Put that back together. Now, this radio does work, and it's kind of surprising. Oh, there's another battery tucked in here. Another RCA 1.5 volts, and this was wired up to, it had a wire connected here and to something else. I'm not sure exactly how that worked. You can see it was soldered on. The wires were soldered on, so apparently that would last a good long while too. Not sure what that was for. I'll put this back and then we'll turn the radio on and see how it works. Alright, now I did have to replace the cord because the insulation was all cracked on it, so this is a modern cord, and I actually disassembled this and wired it in. So let's plug it in and see what we can get on it. Alright, plug it in, and we'll turn the switch on. Now it takes a moment for it to warm up. Those tubes have to get warm. Put it on the broadcast setting. Oh, let's start. Okay. Now we're going to adjust the tuner. I'll start at one end and just go all the way to the other.
And that Brett Kavanaugh was drunk as well when he exposed himself to her.
AM. This is all AM.
But he and the Spirit, of course, are one.
Be able to get.
It was the Jefferson flag yesterday, and he agreed that that was not.
So it actually works pretty well.
You will hire anything, but there's no way in the world that we can go with this. And that's what got me.
It's really, considering it's 72 years old, it's really amazing how good it sounds, actually. And then, in order to get a better reception, you would just rotate the whole radio if you wanted to pick up a little bit better signal. Now, there's several other bands here, and 49, there's different suggestions here: evening, afternoon and evening, all day, morning. Apparently these different settings would be affected by what time of day it was as far as what kind of reception you're getting. But the evening one, we still have some static, but I haven't been able to pick up anything on it here. Over the 30 years I've had it, I was able to get some stations. I think when I was in New Mexico, I was picking up a station in Cuba, if I wasn't mistaken. There may not be much being broadcast on these bands too, and these would require the antennas to be set up to really get decent reception. So that's probably why I'm not pulling anything in here. These other bands, there's also static, so it's working, but I'm just not picking anything up on those. I'll tell you what. Well, I searched around on the different bands, and I was able to pick up some areas of static. I suppose if I'd hooked up the wave antennas and, you know, put it in a window and kind of oriented it around, I'd be able to pick something up. But anyway, let's try the big antenna. It's a beautiful thing. I love the brass. I love the Art Deco sort of styling of it. These radios were very popular just after World War II. They were used also in the Korean War by the military. Servicemen would listen to broadcasts. They're heavy, they're sturdy, really well built. But you know, that was like one of the better, probably the best radios that you could get at the time. So I have really enjoyed fixing it up. Beautiful brass fittings on it. But I don't have a real personal attachment to this unit, so I'm going to sell it. It seems that they're worth, well, whatever people are willing to pay for them, of course, but a unit like this is probably worth $100 to $150, depending on, you know, the condition of it. And this one's in fair condition. There's some damage to the case, and the wiring has been replaced and such, but it might be able to improve the operation of it by replacing some of those tubes. Some of them might be kind of old and maybe not functioning well enough, but surprisingly those tubes are still pretty commonly available. So there it is, 1947 Zenith Trans-Oceanic radio.